You'll need to be able to do algebraic long division. There's a couple of different methods to do this. I'm just going to run through the two main methods. So first of all, by inspection. So we're dividing 2x cubed minus 4x squared minus 16x plus 10 by x minus 4. So I start off by saying I need to do x minus 4, and that's going to go into some quadratic fraction here. So first of all, x, the first term, to get 2x cubed, the first term has got to be 2x squared, because the only place I can get 2x cubed is from there. So I'm going to get 2x cubed from there, which is fine. But then from here, I get minus 8x squared. So I compare the minus 8x squared with the minus 5x squared that I've got there, which means that I need a plus 3x squared. And my plus 3x squared will come from this top line, and I need to get a plus 3x squared. So I've got x times a plus 3x will give me my plus 3x squared. So I've currently got a 2x cubed, a minus 8x squared, plus 3x squared, which gets me to that point. I then look at this bit, and from here I've got minus 4 times 3x, that gives me 12x. So I've got 12x so far. I need minus 16x, so minus 12x, to get minus 16x, I need to have another minus 4x, and my minus 4x will come from here. So that gives me my minus 4x. So I need a minus 4 there. And then I double check what I get at the end. I've got minus 4 times minus 4, which gives me plus 16. I wanted plus 10, so to make it work, plus 16, I wanted plus 10, I need to take away 6, which means that I have a remainder of minus 6. So you work from left to right, adjusting each term as you go. That's the by inspection method. It's looking at the opposite of multiplying. You might also have done long division by the bus stop method. So same question, the set out is x minus 4, and I'm dividing x minus 4 into 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 16x plus 10. So I start by looking at the x minus 4, and I say, how many times does x go into 2x cubed? X into 2x cubed goes 2x squared. So 2x squared, lots of x minus 4, would give me 2x cubed. 2x squared times minus 4 gives me minus 8x squared. I then look at the difference that I've got there. I subtract, that minus that is nothing. Minus 5 minus minus 8 gives me plus 3x squared. I then look at this, I go, how many times does x go into 3x squared? It goes plus 3x times. So 3x lots of x minus 4 would give me 3x squared minus 12x. I then subtract. So I've got 3x squared minus 3x squared, which is nothing. I've got minus 16x minus minus 12x, which becomes plus 12x. So minus 16 plus 12x gives me minus 4x. I then say, how many times does x go into minus 4x? It goes minus 4 times. So I put minus 4 there, then minus 4 times x minus 4. Minus 4 times x is minus 4x. Minus 4 times minus 4 gives me plus 16. I then subtract, so I've got 10 minus 16. 10 minus 16 is minus 6, and that's my remainder. So you need to be able to do algebraic division by any method, either this method or that method, and there are other methods available. Modulus functions. We'll do more on modulus functions in the next video, but for this video you need to learn how to sketch the two types of modulus function graphs. So the first one is where you've got y equals the modulus of f of x. And the method that you use is draw the graph as if there's no modulus sign. So if it was a quadratic, you'd look at factorising it. If it was a cubic, it would cross in 3 different points on the x-axis. So you ignore the modulus sign and draw the graph. Then anything that is below the y-axis, below the x-axis, anything below the x-axis is reflected so that it becomes positive. So anything below the x-axis is reflected. So if you've got a quadratic graph that looks like this, first of all you draw it, you then reflect this bit so that it looks like that. And what's very important is that you redraw your graph, making sure that you get rid of this bit here. So don't rub it out. If you rub it out, you might miss a bit. So just redraw it. And you redraw it like this. And this bit here needs to be at a point. The second sort of modulus graph is where you've got y equals f of the modulus of x. So for example, if it's a quadratic, you would be drawing y equals the modulus of x squared, for example minus 3 times the modulus of x plus 2. That would be the shape of it, with the modulus being around the x. So the method that you use is, you don't draw the whole graph, just draw the bit of the graph to the right of the y-axis. So if I'm drawing a quadratic graph, it might look like this, but I only draw the bit that is to the right of the y-axis. And then what I do is I reflect it, and I reflect this bit in the y-axis. So I reflect it, so this will be the same distance as that. So I reflect it, and it looks like that. If you do this on a cubic graph, your cubic graph might be something like that. But if you're drawing the modulus graph, ignore this bit, don't draw that at all, and then reflect this bit. So if I reflect this bit, it's going to come down and it's going to come up like that. Okay, so you reflect the bit that's on the right of the y-axis across so that it's in the negative part. You need to know the two different sorts of y equals f of x graph. So learn y equals f of x, ignore the modulus sign, draw the whole graph, and then anything below the x-axis which is reflected. And for this one, only draw to the right, so only draw to the right of the y-axis, and then reflect this graph in the y-axis.